Welcome to week 4. Well, did you celebrate the small victories this week? Were you able to find things to rejoice in and just celebrate you and the accomplishments that you're making? I hope you did. And that's a lifelong process, just learning to celebrate ourselves, learning to celebrate the things we see in others that are noteworthy. Even just making it through the day sometimes is worth a celebration. Well, today we are going to be making spaghetti and marinara. And I want to show you how we can actually make a meal for 4 to 6 people in under 10 minutes. And it's delicious, it's full of nutrients, and you're going to love it. We're going to start off with mushrooms. These are baby portobello mushrooms. Cremini mushrooms is another name. And I'm just going to slice them thin. We want to marinate them in some tamari or soy sauce. Tamari is wheat-free soy sauce. Soy sauce obviously has soy in it, but it also has wheat. And then there's also Bragg's amino acids, which is a soy-based product again. And I'm going to be using that today just because I had that on hand. The sodium content in the Bragg's amino acids is a little bit higher than in tamari. I tend to buy the low sodium just to keep extra salt out of my diet and out of the diets of those I make food for. So I think we'll do one more mushroom. And again, like the last week when we had cucumbers and onions, and I said that they're full of water and so they tend to break down. The same with mushrooms. They have a high water content. This is a little spray bottle. Some people like to make popcorn using coconut oil and organic popcorn and then spray this on. Or if you are wanting to get away from a heavy salad dressing, this is a great idea. The little spray bottle helps you just spritz your salad. And so you get very little bit of the dressing, but it adds the flavor. And I'm just going to pour about a tablespoon of this. That's about all we need. It won't cover it all to start with, but again, as the mushrooms start to break down, it just kind of marinades them. And if you let them sit for 30 minutes to an hour, they'll actually become kind of rubbery, and it'll be like they've been sauteed. I used to love sauteed mushrooms, but back then it was butter and fresh garlic, and I don't do that anymore. So this way I can get the same effect and the same wonderful flavor. Okay, so we're going to set this aside. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make our spaghetti, which is going to be a zucchini. This is a summer squash. Just going to, again, cut the ends off. In our discard bowl, we're going to go ahead and just peel. Again, you don't have to peel. This is an organic zucchini, so I could keep the skin on it. But because I'm going to be making a pasta, I don't want the green to be in it. You could. It doesn't taste any different, but I like the appearance of it looking more like a pasta. This is some people call it a spirulina. I call it a vegetable slicer. It is from World Cuisine. I do sell these at my kitchen. But what we're going to do, this will spiral. It has 3 blades. It has this size. It has a larger, this will do regular spaghetti. It has a round blade that will make round slices, and then it has a larger one. And the larger one I use to make mac and cheese. I make a all-natural cheese sauce, and then the noodles are real wide, and so I cut them into about 1 inch long. They look like elbow macaroni. So that works. And if you have kids, this is a wonderful thing to get them interested in. When you're using it, you can't have a curved piece of a curved vegetable because it gets all cattywampus. So the yellow squash, that are great spiraled, you need to cut the crook off of the neck where it curves, and then you can use it. So you just want to center it. Right here it has a center thing, so it's going to core it. So you can only use vegetables that have a hard center. You can't use cucumbers because they're soft in the middle. But you can use sweet potatoes and beets, zucchini, butternut squash. There's a lot of things that you can do. I'm going to turn it this way so you can see it. Now this will stick to a counter, and I think I might just do that so you can see how it will adhere itself. It has suction cups on the bottom, so it will stick and not go anywhere. So you just have to push a little bit. I just usually hold the front, and you push in when you're turning. And there we have spaghetti. And then this is the centerpiece. This is really tender. And there's no need to throw it away because you can eat it. If I'm doing a lot of pasta for an event, I'll take these and put them in a bag. And I will put them in my Vitamix and make crackers out of them. I use other ingredients, other vegetables and flaxseed, and I'll make crackers for the dehydrator. All right, now this spaghetti, look at this, that little tiny zucchini. Look how long these are. This to me is amazing, and this is why kids love this. I do recommend before you serve it, you can either take scissors, kitchen shears, and just slice it or just pull it apart. Now you'll notice summer squash is called summer squash for a reason, because that's when it's in season and that's when it's best eaten. So this summer squash, it's kind of got a soft center. So I will just pull some of the softer pieces out. They're just kind of, you can tell they're going to break down much quicker. This is a pretty good one for this time of year. It just has a few pieces that you would pull out. Okay, so that is how you make spaghetti. Bring my cutting board back. All right, now I'm going to give, before I start the sauce, I'm just going to toss the mushrooms again. All right, so the sauce we're going to make, we're going to take tomatoes. And it's 4 tomatoes. These are organic on the vine tomatoes. And you want them to be, I'm going to go ahead and use 5 just because 2 of them are kind of small. And again, in the Vitamix, I'm just going to quarter them. They don't need to be cut small. Now, the sauce does kind of break down sometimes. It'll be a little watery. If you want to change that, what you can do is you just take your tomato, and it's called seeding a tomato, and you'll just pull out the center part with your spoon. You can see how much water is coming out. Well, it's actually juice, but this would keep it from getting as liquidy. I tend to just put the whole thing in. I have a secret ingredient that helps it emulsify. Anytime you're using a blender, you want to put the most liquid things on the bottom first, because that blade will blend it up and it will create its own juice. And that way it blends easier than if you put harder ingredients on top. Okay, then we have a 1/2 cup of sun-dried tomatoes. These have been soaked in water. They don't have sulfites or anything in them. And I just soak them in water in a jar, and then they're in the fridge ready to use. And basil, you can use a 4 to 1/2 cup. I like fresh herbs, so I don't think you can ever use too much basil or cilantro. I'm pretty sure you can't, at least in my recipes. Now here's the medjool dates. We're going to use 2 of these just to help break the acidic nature of the tomatoes. And a date looks like this. Sometimes they have stars in the end. You want to make sure you pull that star out, and you can just use your thumb and pull out the pit. The Vitamix is an amazing machine, but it will not, I have found out from experience, it will not cut up or grind up a date pit. They're very strong. So here we have 2 dates we're going to throw in. I'm going to put just about a tablespoon. This is flaxseed oil. I tend to use flaxseed oil more because it's high in the omega-3s and 6s, so it's great for inflammation. And I like what it does for my body. So I'm just going to squeeze about a tablespoon in there. I didn't used to use oil at all. It doesn't need oil for flavor, but it helps emulsify it and helps it hold together better. So that's when I started using the oil, when I found that out. And again, you don't need much. This is about a teaspoon of garlic. I use granulated garlic powder. And a teaspoon of sea salt. And this is oregano. And I'm going to use a teaspoon of oregano. You can use fresh oregano also. I tend to have fresh basil on hand and not oregano, so I use the powder, the dried. Okay. And we're going to put this on. We're going to let it blend for a little while. The longer you blend it, the smoother it becomes. Okay, let me make sure we got all of our flavors right in here. This is really one of the most amazing sauces. It's fresh. The basil and tomatoes, the flavors pop. I've had a lot of people ask about eating this cold. They prefer not to have it cold, and that's fine. A better choice is to use fresh vegetables and herbs and make your sauce. And then again, put it in a pan, warm it until it's lukewarm. And if you want your noodles, if you're going to use zucchini noodles and you want these to be warmed, just get a bowl of warm water, hot water, and put these in for just a minute or 2. Otherwise, they'll start to break down and cook. And then pat them dry with a paper towel. Put them in a bowl and serve your sauce on top of it. It's amazing. But even cold, I've learned to... this is one of my favorite dinners. This is what I ate for the first several months of changing my lifestyle, just because it was so wonderful. With that basil, you can really smell it. So it's nice and creamy. You just spoon it over your noodles. This will last in the fridge for up to 2 weeks. It will freeze, but if you freeze it, you'll need to put it back in the blender because it kind of gets granulated a little bit. So you put it back in the freezer, or back in the blender, blend it up, and you can serve it or heat it however you're going to. Now the mushrooms, you can see they're getting kind of rubbery. Another 10 minutes, it'd probably be perfect. We're going to go ahead and just put those on top. If you don't like mushrooms, you can leave them off. I'm a fan of them, so I like lots of them. So there we have our spaghetti and marinara, and you're ready to serve your family. Again, this is something that kids love to do when they're old enough that they can help either break it apart or they can help spiral it. It's a great way to get them to eat vegetables. You'd be amazed at putting a sweet potato, peel a sweet potato and put it in there. It doesn't taste like sweet potato, it tastes like a carrot. It really is amazing. And you can cook them slightly or you can eat them raw. You can put them in your salads. It's a fabulous way to eat vegetables. A lot of people don't like to eat salads with big chunks of vegetables, so this is a great way to add some variety to your salads. You know, one of the things I wanted to share with you today is we talked about fiber, I think on the second week, and how important when we eat these foods, there's a lot of fiber in it, how important it is for our diet and for our bodies. And regular colon cleansing is something that we need to take into consideration when you're changing your lifestyle, when you're wanting to be healthy. And the fiber is great, but if you've lived a lifestyle where you haven't had a lot of fiber, you haven't had a lot of nutrients in your body, then colon cleansing is a part of it. And it's called colonics or enema. And I know that when you're detoxing, when you change what you eat, there's toxins that are stored in your fat cells and in your organs and tissues. And as you detox, those toxins come out. As you start putting more nutrients in, those toxins are released. And if your colon is not healthy, it's going to hang on to those toxins, and then it's going to release them back into our bloodstream. And so you continue to remain at a toxic state. So I encourage you to check into colonics in your area, because it's something that can help change your life. You know, we eat 3 times a day. We should be eliminating 3 times a day. Most people don't do that, especially in the United States. Constipation is a huge problem. So I encourage you to drink your water, eat your veggies and fruits with fiber, and we'll see you next week. And remember to make better choices today so tomorrow can be your best, so you can live in optimum health. Good luck.